This is the cheapest laptop with an OLED in it. Now, straight off the bat, I don't know if that's necessarily true, because Asus also makes this thing, which has an OLED in it and is a bit cheaper. But does that count? Is that a laptop? It's like a weird tablet hybrid abomination. Whereas this is unambiguously a laptop. So, yeah, maybe this does count as the cheapest one. Either way, in today's video, I'm gonna do the thing I do to everything I buy, which just gonna try a game on it. But first, today's video is sponsored by Corsair and their massive box of new IQ Link things. Now, in my opinion, most RGB stuff has two major Achilles heels: price and cable hell. I really hate that cable hell. And Corsair's new IQ Link solves one of those problems. With IQ Link, you can easily daisy chain a whole system's worth of individually controllable RGB crap using one cable run. This one cable powers and datas all this stuff. So if you're an oil baron that wants a much easier RGB system building experience, click on the link down below. Now, straight off the bat, why do I care about a relatively basic laptop with an OLED in it? Well, in my experience, when it comes to relatively basic laptops, manufacturers tend to just use a display they found in a dumpster behind their factory. Whereas, aside from a couple of shortcomings like burn-in and potential max brightness, OLEDs tend to be very good displays. So does that mean that if you put an OLED in a relatively basic laptop, that it massively elevates the experience? Well, let's find out. Now, the cheapest OLED laptop in question is the VivoBook, which I think in Asus speak means normie laptop. The VivoBook random area code, which in terms of hardware, even putting aside the OLED, is packing some interesting new stuff. I was kind of expecting the box to pop the laptop out when you open it up, like the Strix packaging does, but I guess because it's a VivoBook, I have to stick my finger in the box like some kind of animal. Cool, we get a tiny, very portable little power brick with a real thin cable that isn't replaceable, which I'm not a big fan of because if your cat, for example, chooses this cable, you're kind of screwed. And in terms of accessories, that's all you get. And then here is our laptop. Oh, I don't love that logo bulge. It looks a bit like branding on tracksuit pants. I don't know. And aside from the bulge, on first impression, the build quality feels quite 2012-y. It's not great. When it comes to I/O, we've got some ports on the right side, including a full HDMI, which is nice. And then on the left side, we have a port. Singular. So again, not a whole lot of I/O, but enough to get you going, you know? Now on the back, we've got some ventilation with a heat pipe poking through, which is nice to see. There's also some rubberized feet, which will hold the laptop in place. And we've got what looks like a relatively easy bottom plate to get off for some upgrades, which we'll check out later on. Oh, and finally, in terms of the bottom, we have downward facing speakers, which is a bit of a cardinal sin for laptops, in my opinion. Because nothing shouts clarity like an audio source pointed straight at a table. Oh, wow, that really does not pass the one-hand. Whoops. And then we have the inside of the laptop, which... Now, while this thing is hewn out of some pretty garbage plastics, it's kind of in line with other laptops I've seen at this price point, so I can't be too hard on it. Wow. Not a great keyboard, but luckily it does have a numpad. I'm gonna refrain from making jokes about the type of people who like using numpads because I've beaten that horse to a pulp. Oh, this is a nice touch. They've done the Lenovo thing of giving you a little slider to close off your webcam to help relieve paranoia while consuming naughty things on the internet. That's good. First impressions may not be particularly impressive, but it's in line with other devices at this price point, and besides, that's not its selling point. So let's fire it up and try out its codpiece. Oh, always forget. Ooh, Asus is very excited about the OLED in here because it's quick to remind us that it's there. And it's a smart logo because There's like black and white next to each other, so you can see the just amazing contrast. Now in terms of bloatware, it's got some McAfee on here, which is very mean to the Facebook users that would buy this laptop. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of VD on here, which is good. Now, in terms of specs, aside from the OLED, this laptop's still pretty interesting. It's got one of the new low-powered Ryzen chips in here. I'm curious to see how that's going to handle gaming, especially with the 8 gigs of DDR5 in here, and hopefully upgrading that RAM will give us more performance, but we'll see about that later on. And again, quick note, I know this isn't a gaming laptop, but, you know, it's always interesting to see what it can do. It's a good power test, you know? I was maybe expecting a little bit better than what's happening here. Now I know we have a U-series APU in here, but I would not call this a playable CSGO experience. Like maybe against bots it's okay, but you would get railed online. There's way too much input lag and you can see the stutter going on here. Although the display is lovely, like it's really good. After which I tried Doom Eternal, which just straight up crashed after launching, and after a couple attempts I decided to move on. Okay, so with Battlefield 5 at 1080p low settings, I mean, I don't know if I'd call this running, but it's launched, you know, this the game is happening. Visually, the game looks pretty good, if not a little oversaturated. I'm curious to see how this display is gonna measure. We'll do that in a bit. But let's see what 720p does. We're still not getting 24 frames per second. Oh, actually, no, it's still under 24 frames per second. Okay. I then decided to try a new game I've been playing recently, which actually seems potentially appropriate for this little laptop. Now, I am very curious to see how BattleBit's gonna run on this laptop because this is the perfect game for potatoes, you know? Well, I mean, it's running a lot better than Battlefield 5 was, which is not super surprising. I do still have the option to drop the settings down to potato. Oof, it's still not running great. It feels really heavy. I kind of think we've got some RAM issues going here. And BattleBit also really accentuates that oversaturated look on this display. So before I try and upgrade the RAM in here, let me quickly measure the display and see what we're working with. The display measures, in a word, spectacularly. Although there were some slight gamma issues which when calibrated made a bit of a difference to the colors. The display does have quite a glossy surface, but it goes bright enough to overcome that indoors, at least. Either way, the display does make for a very nice content consumption experience. But with that, let's try and open it up and see what happens. Okay, well now we actually get to open it up and I can already see some promising things. We've got a RAM stick kind of shining through the bottom here. So yeah, hopefully we can upgrade some stuff. Oh, I just realized my hands are a bit chocolatey, so I need to go wash them before I touch the insides of the laptop. Give me a second. Still don't have just a glory hole, but I don't know if we're ever getting those back. I don't know if that's the thing that laptop manufacturers are ever gonna do again. Because the alternative to an upgrade glory hole is this. Oh, there we go. And oh no, that wasn't a RAM stick. It was an NVMe drive, and the RAM is all soldered down. Like, what the hell is this, Asus? You know what? I even went out and bought RAM. Do you know why? Because I trusted you. And then, what did you do with that trust? You kicked it in the dirt. So, yes. This I don't care about anymore. You can have a look at it and decide for yourself what you think about the rest of the laptop things in here. But I am just disappointed, Asus. Just disappointed. So at the end of the day, the glorious display in this plastic fantastic does elevate the experience of watching YouTube videos and flaming people on social media. But for committing the cardinal sin of not only just putting 8 gigs of RAM in a laptop in 2023, but then soldering it down so there's nothing you can do about it, Asus can very much go sit in the naughty corner. Again.